Right, I think that's live now. Right, welcome guys. Welcome to our regular Tuesday Tat Chat. This was Tat Chat number 121. This is our regular Tuesday show that alternates between my channel here and Zahir's channel. Speaking of which, how are you, mate?
All right, mate. Yeah, just giggling at the 121 because it just gets funnier every week, I think. For me, anyway. I'm sure it probably isn't amusing for anyone else out there, but yeah, just it's consistent at least. And it kind of almost ties in with what we're talking about. But yeah, we'll get into that.
But yeah, it is amazing, really. You know how long we've been doing it, if nothing else.
Yeah, if nothing else.
We're many things, but consistent is one we'll take.
Yeah, well, exactly. We'll take that. Consistent and persistent.
So yeah, welcome if you're new. If you're new to the channel, I'm a full-time reseller, as is Zahir. We buy and sell stuff on the internet. That kind of sums it up. It's as broad as that, really. A lot of regulars are in, so hi. I'm just going to scroll back in the chat and see. We had Peter and Ray in, Adrian, Donna. Donna says, hi, everyone. I'm early for once. Scooby Shaggy, that's a new name. I don't remember seeing that before. Hi there. Oh,
Mr. Diggs
just jumped for me. I'm lost now.
Yeah, Mr. Diggs Deals, who put up quite a nice positive post in the Tat Chat, and I think had a few nice comments about it was just a nice positive comment about
I haven't had a chance to be in there.
Yeah,
I'll go on to what I've been doing today in a sec, but yeah, I haven't had a minute today.
Yeah, falling on a bruise. Ray
Cunningham. It's perfect timing. Rain stopped play down at the garden with the goats, so I'm here on time. Fantastic.
Oh, okay. I'm the Legend. Ash is in there as well. Saz guest Joel Thompson.
Chelsea, I thought I might see you, Chelsea, on Monday. I was having a bit of a clear out of stuff. I was actually selling at the regular boot sale we usually meet at, but I didn't see you. Yeah, Laura, another Andrea's in there. Andrea Turner. Bethany. So welcome everyone. We'll be here all night if we just say hello. So I will scroll to the end.
Swamp Picker.
Oh, Swamp's in, is he? Fantastic. Yep. Hi there, mate.
Hi there. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, yeah, we were chatting just before, literally like 10 minutes before we went live to try and come up with something to chat about today. And you said that you were inspired a little bit by a video, which I haven't seen.
Yes. I think it was actually mentioned in the previous chat we did. It was in the live chat where someone talked. I can't remember which chat it was, but it was mentioned in a live chat that Pete, the Craigslist hunter, who a lot of us who are into reselling and the reselling YouTube community will know, and obviously you've had on the chat with yourself before. He's a lovely guy, smart guy, established. He made a really interesting video about him noticing quite a dramatic fall off in the interest in reselling. Yeah. So he noticed that a couple of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, it was very it was super trendy. A lot of the TV shows about it, and a lot of interest in it in general. A lot of people just doing it and jumping into it. And then what he was saying is, he used to get a lot of requests, when he started his channel up, he started his channel up about 4 years ago, he said, or around there. Right. And he was saying that just like last year or the year before, he used to get a lot of requests from people saying, hey, Pete, can you look at my store? Can you look at my store? This kind of thing. And he's the kind of guy that, keeps track of numbers, and he's into the analytics of things, and you can relate to that, in terms of the analytics and just keeping track of things. And he mentioned something amazingly interesting. Like he apparently visited, well, not apparently, I'm taking his word for it, 62 eBay stores. And he said that he went back and checked, because he'd noticed that he felt a decline in the number of the same reselling channels, or even the views that he was getting, and he just noticed that things seem to be as if it's not as popular as it was a year or two ago. Yeah. And he went back to the 62 odd stores, and out of the 62 odd stores, he said only 4 were still operating.
And these were people that actually got into reselling.
Got into reselling and had asked him to take a look at their store. And he said something like only 4 out of the 60 odd were still operating.
those numbers surprise me. I mean, I know there is a big turnaround in reselling. A lot of people come into it for many different reasons, and I think that's part of the reason of the turnaround, because sometimes people are out of work and they need to, you know, get some extra cash, and they're searching for the usual terms on YouTube, how to make money from home or stuff like that, and they get into it maybe for 6 months and it fills a gap. You know what I mean? It fills a purpose, a need in their life, and then maybe they get a job or they move on for other reasons, and that's it. And I see that a lot on my channel, because most of my subscribers are what I'd call dormant. They're not really watching. I have kind of 2,000 or 3,000 active subscribers, and the rest, I think, have come into it, perhaps been an avid watcher for a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever, and then they go. And I see a lot of that as a big turnaround of subs.
Yeah, and I think it's understandable, because you know, I mean, there's always going to be churn, as it were, isn't there? There's always going to be churn in no matter whatever industry you're talking about.
Yeah.
But they're definitely, I mean, we've not necessarily noticed that here in the UK. It's just, I believe that what you see over in the States is probably what's going to happen over here in a few months or a year later. It just seems
already happening.
So now that's just how it seems to be, you know, and so that's why it was interesting. And like, you know, there's always going to be churn, but I think the realization does kick in, and we've touched on it, that there are so many easier ways to make money. And also maybe people's expectations as well. I mean, another thing that Pete mentioned was expectations about reselling. Like, you know, you can certainly live comfortably, he said, you know, by reselling or selling online on eBay, but it's not gonna, the chances are it's not gonna make you a millionaire. And I think
and I think somebody's idea of what a comfortable, acceptable level of income is not somebody else's, and that's very subjective. So I don't think that might come into it.
Oh, completely.
Before it goes, I just want to say, Ray Cunningham quickly said, tells her here to look at his comments on his video with the Roberts DAB in it. Probably some information you need to go and check.
I will do, Ray. I will do. Yeah, look, I'll have a check and get back.
Thank you. Said he didn't go to the boot sale, spent too much money on the Sunday. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, even in the UK, which, I mean, our reselling scene, it has grown dramatically, but it's still a drop in the ocean compared to the Americans. I couldn't even tell you how many reselling related channels there are over there. In the UK, to be honest, I don't know anymore either. It's kind of exploded, but I've already seen a turnover in channels. When I started and when you started, there were new channels coming up kind of on a weekly basis, and a lot of those have vanished. You know, yeah. Because I think people, it may be because they just wanted to stop doing YouTube, of course. They may still be reselling, but I think it's more likely that they just got out of reselling and had no more relative content and just closed the channel, which makes sense.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like, you know, it's just, I think everyone, I think credit to everyone that's given it a go. Because I mean, even myself, even my family, my brother gave this a go, and it really didn't work out for him in the end. He tried, you know, I don't think he enjoyed it a lot. And he's back at work now. He's gotten himself a job, and I think he's probably happier for it. You know, it's not, because it isn't easy, you know, because it isn't as, you know, it's not for everybody. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's credit to everyone that tries it, because you don't know until you try what you're going to like about something and what you're not going to like. And I think also for all the people that are doing this like solo as well, like on their own, it must be really, really tough, because, you know, I know that I feel I can do this because Beck's doing it with me. I'm not sure how capable I'd be if it was just me now. I mean, I'd like to think I would, because I did start doing it by myself and then Beck joined. But now that I've had Beck with me, I'm not sure I'd like it if she decided not to, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like you've been spoiled or something, and then you're like, you know.
Just Alzatic, I think it was Alzatic that I met, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I think I bumped into Alzatic and her other half at the boot sale. Has a very good point. She says, and we've touched on this before, I think once you've learned the basics of reselling from YouTube, you don't need to watch the vids at all. It becomes more of a social thing. And we did touch on that. And that is another good aspect of why, you know, views and subs, you know, go up and down and stuff, because people take out of it what they need sometimes and then don't come back, which is perfectly fine. You know, we can't dictate how people use the information we put out there, and that
Of
makes
course,
perfect sense.
yeah. I mean, yeah, there is only ever going to be so much, you know, and I think mainly it does end up being about the community and like that, you know, that time. It's almost like, oh, it's Tuesday, oh, it's Friday, oh, it's Sunday, like that, you know.
Yeah,
You
I
can,
think
certain times, you
those,
know, where
those that stick at it, whether it's full time or part time, we've said this before, we rely a little bit on the videos and YouTube for a social element of our job. And that they're the kind of hardcore people that come back week in, week out,
because they're getting exactly the same from it as we are by putting the stuff out, because
that really makes sense. Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Well, because, you know, there's been so many times where we've really not felt like doing it for whatever reason, like we've had a down day, just, you know, feeling a bit, you know, under the weather or whatever. But once you actually do force yourself, it reminds me of the old days where you know, your friends or your, you know, work colleagues were saying, I'll come out for a drink after work, and you really didn't fancy, and it sounded like the worst idea in the world, but if they did manage to rope you into going, it would turn out to be great, and you were like, oh, it's great.
Yeah. Well, today, actually, I'll just let everyone know what I've been up to today. I've spent pretty much all day at my dad's place trying to clear stuff. He's like kind of a Tom the English Picker level hoarder style guy. And yeah, so I spent most of the day doing that. I got absolutely filthy. I've been to the dump and dropped off a carload of stuff. I got home with about half an hour before this started. And all I wanted to do was have a shower and have a kip. So I really wasn't in the headspace, but now we're chatting. It's fantastic. And I always enjoy this half an hour, no, hour rather.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because, like I said, it is that moment where everyone gets together and shares their views on it. And I think I did see that Richard Payne, I think it was, says that I watched Craigslist Hunter's video yesterday. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out, guys.
Death by Glamour. I was just going to say, Death by Glamour says, I'm just about to return to work from maternity leave, but I've had to hand my notice in due to lack of childcare. Reselling is the perfect option to stay at home and work, but need time to build. Exactly. And sometimes people use it as a stopgap, which was what I was saying before. You know, sometimes I get subscribers who are chatting, commenting, loads and loads and loads, and then they just vanish. And I think it's because they've got a job or they've just decided it wasn't for them. And so many reasons why people dip in and out.
Yeah, and I think it really does come down to, you know, your persistence in it will come down to whether you have a plan for it, you know, whether you're in it for the long haul or not. If it's just something that's a stopgap, that makes, like you said, a lot of sense. And you've often said that actually the perfect situation is to do it part-time along with a job, because you get that guaranteed income, and then then you're not putting so much pressure on yourself. And I think that sounds great, but once I think it's very difficult in a way for some people to maintain that, especially for myself. So, for example, if I was as soon as I started working for myself, because that's what I did. I was lucky enough where my job was only 3 days a week. That's when I started to get into it fully, because I took when I was a rep for Nestle, I was doing the full 5 days plus a week, and then when I got that job for EA, it was because it was only 3 days a week. But then doing the reselling on the other days made me just feel like even start to resent the 3 days that I was doing, because I was like, I like this section where I'm in charge and I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have any reports to send in, or no one's badgering me for this or that. And it becomes difficult to do that for some people. I'm guessing not for everybody, because people obviously do keep both. But
yeah,
there is that side.
I was just reading that Gary, Southwest Sellers, hi there. He says he's here for the social interaction and Z's comedy Friday night chats.
Comedy, yeah, chats on Friday. Yep.
I mean, it has evolved, I think, and it evolved very naturally over the few years we've been doing these chats, where it became less and less about having some in-depth reseller hints and tips or whatever, because it's like, how often can we repeat that stuff?
And how many times do we say we don't have any? We don't have any.
That as well. So it just became easier to just kind of chew the fat. And once the chat became a big element of what we do, it's about getting together and just
Exactly.
that.
And I really do appreciate that comment, because Beck and I do often, we do often worry sometimes that it is so removed from reselling that it almost feels wrong to put, eBay or reselling in the title,
Not at
because
all. I think that's almost the point. It's become the point of it. You know what I mean?
it's so
We're going to
far.
shoehorn some reselling in
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end, so stick around.
yeah, exactly. We have the graph. I mean, there is the graph.
Yeah.
Um,
See,
some
Rod as well makes a good point. He says he looks forward to seeing all the regulars in the chat. And the chats having a life of their own on the side. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's irrelevant what we're talking about.
Oh, GVR makes in the chat says here in Thailand. Wow, I talk about international.
Oh,
Here
nice.
in Thailand, the peak in reselling was last year. However, since early this year, many resellers have gone crazy and started overpricing the item, giving resellers a negative ring to it.
Wow.
I mean, it's difficult to sometimes gauge what's, I mean, I suppose an interesting thing to do would be to do one of those Google searches. Those what are they called, like Google ad type search thingy majiggies, where you can tell whether there's like a popular term or not. Do you know what I mean? Like you can,
Right. To
I
see
think there's
what
a,
search terms are being used.
yeah, and see what, like, how many people are searching it now versus previously, because like people off, you can do that, you can see the popularity of what's being searched. So it'd be interesting to type in something like make money on eBay and see how many people were typing that in, this time last year or
Yeah.
versus
Do they
now.
keep historical
They
records
do,
of that?
yeah. I think you can
Ooh.
track it back and everything. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong with that. But yeah, that would be really cool to see what this Google Analytics Karen says right at the bottom of the chat. So
Huh?
if that's legit, then yeah. By the way, you had a super chat from Karen.
Oh, have I? Let me
Yeah.
scroll down. Sorry, I was reading way back. Karen Nocross super chatted £2. Thank you so much. Oh, hold on. She thinks there is an illusion working from home is easy. Definitely. I think I put in the title, this isn't easy. And I think that is a big part of why some people, come into it, with big plans and all excited. And then the realization that there's a lot of hard work involved, and it's a very kind of monotonous churn. You may have a good day, you've got to do it again tomorrow. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You've sold all your stuff, you've got to go out and find more. And definitely when you take the step to full time, and then it's kind of serious, you're not just playing anymore. Sometimes the fun goes out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots of reasons.
Full
But yeah,
time is a real massive jump. It's an exponential increase in stress, because like you said, suddenly that treasure hunt that you take at the weekend is it's not just a stroll out and to see whether you can get anything. It's now like, I have to get something, and I think that's definitely something that you should not ever underestimate. And like, I've dealt with it. I mean, the pressure was too great for us personally. I mean, you have to accept when things work for you and when things don't work for you. Like, I know yourself and Andrea could quite happily go out to car boots every weekend, and you guys stock up and stock up and stock up, so it sees you through. But we never quite managed to get to that kind of level of backlog stock.
mm,
And I think it added way too much pressure, and it was only when we got these like hauls that it's kind of taken the remove that pressure now, so we can now go back and start enjoying them again and start picking stuff up.
yeah, I think everyone who follows your channel has seen that kind of sea change in you guys since you got that
It's just
stability.
relaxed us, and that just shows that everyone's different. I mean, some of you guys can go out there and find loads, and that's why I have sympathy when sometimes you see like a message, like there was a comment in the tat chat group a couple of days back saying, I don't know whether I'm like looking at the right things or not, but I came away with nothing. And it's really easy to remember all the times that you do find stuff, but I certainly do remember that many times I've been to the car boot and not come away with anything. It's easy to remember as if every boot fair is like this Sunday was, where we were still like half asleep, walking around.
When we were
yeah, with Tom, yeah, exactly, all at the same car boot. So
we stumbled in late, a little bit fuzzy headed, and
yeah. Sun was beating down, wasn't it? It was boiling hot.
We also found some really nice stuff. I think you and Tom did better, but then I'd done pretty well the day before.
Yeah, exactly. And
it was a weekend where it was nice because we all had, little home runs, and it was
completely.
Some great comments just come in. Where was I? Quick question. Sazguest said, question Nick, did you find stuff at your dad's to sell? There was loads of stuff that has potential, but my dad doesn't want to throw much out. And what was going out was only fit for a skip. So no.
It's good. It's good that you've got some stuff out then. At least
I think it's really nice. A little brass vintage candlestick that for some reason he was letting go, and I said, well, I won't dump that. I'll take that. So yeah, one tiny little thing. And then Phoebe Fin Fashion Plus is in. Hi there. She says, love the whole reselling community and the gaming community that has come out of it. It's so nice to hear how everyone is doing, and love to help out when I can. And in fact, the gaming thing that's kind of blown up recently with yourself and Tom and Darren and others.
Ash in there.
Great. Yeah, Ash. Because it's not about reselling, and that is a pure social thing that has evolved out of the reselling YouTube community.
Completely. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I never saw that coming at all. That's great.
Yeah, it is crazy. I took a night off yesterday. I was just so I think the tiredness is getting there.
Steve is in. Welcome, Steve, from the Steve Green Adventure. It says, every week it goes through my head, is this going to work? Am I wasting my time? I just keep thinking I'll regret when I'm older if I don't keep being consistent, but I understand why people drop out. Yeah, it isn't easy to build up.
Yeah, I mean, I think also I think it's important to put out there that there really is no shame in doing that as well. Like, I would like to think that if, say, it started to turn sour and we just weren't selling, I'd like to think that I wouldn't feel at all a second thought about actually just being like, you know what, I really did try my best and it hasn't worked out. I think this is, going back to work will work out better for me or something. I'd like to think that wouldn't hold any, I wouldn't feel like trapped in that I've got to keep going, because as persistence is key and it is important, but it's got to be within a time frame. Like, everything you do obviously has to have a time frame. So as long as you're achieving, as long as you're happy with what you're achieving within a time frame, a realistic time frame that you've given yourself, then I think everything is fine.
Yeah, I think being honest with yourself and having that ability to step back and look at it and be honest. And we had to do that with the clothing shop, obviously. And a phrase that I carry with me, which is from Mythbusters, it's totally unrelated to reselling and business really, but a phrase they use is, failure is always an option. And I carry that with me just to remind myself that what I'm trying may not work out, and there's no problem going, cut that and do something else. And we've done that on and off over the years.
I think it's very related. I think if you think about it, especially, like, I think you hear a lot of business people and entrepreneurs often talking about, sometimes that failure is the quickest route to success. Like, that if they go through enough falls, they will, if they go through enough falls and quick enough, they're going to get to the right way or the successful way for them quicker.
Another way to see that is when you're trying to get through a maze, you will take the wrong turn quite a few times, but you're still going to get to the goal at the end of the maze. So all of these little offshoots that you have to come back on yourself and quit from, they're all just part of the journey, and you end up at the right place, which is success. So failures do get you one step further every time if you don't let it stop you completely.
And you can even see
picking yourself up and keeping going is the hard bit.
And you can even see that down to just even down to your inventory. I mean, just think about the amount of items over the years that you used to pick up that you no longer pick up, or items that you've learned from or that you found that will work for you. How many things you've gone through to get to the kind of place where you're in now. So even though to the untrained eye it looks completely random what you'll pick up, it's random to an extent that all the items are still in, like, I suppose, niches or categories that you're confident will have a desire, like, for people to buy on eBay. So they might still be completely random items, in relation to each other, but they're most likely going to be in niches that work.
Yeah, it's a constant evolution. Alzatic has another question there. Does it worry you when you get older, reselling will be too much hard work? I've never really given that a lot of thought, and I guess I would just adapt it. And another thing in that question is the fact that if I carry on sourcing at car boot sales and charity shops, there's an awful lot of walking and exercise in that, which as you get older, I personally think we need to be doing more of. So I think it could actually benefit me as I get older to continue sourcing in that way. But yeah, I may have to change certain things I do, leave the heavier stuff to others.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because you do sometimes see people that that you can tell are like the seasoned vets that have been doing it forever, and you have to. There's two ways you can look at it. There used to be a time where I'd look at people and be like, "Oh my god, I hope I'm not that guy that in my like later years in life I'm still setting up a stall or rummaging around." Or the other way to look at it is, actually that's probably what he wants to be doing. If you see a guy, like we saw this guy setting up his car boot store this Sunday, and I kid you not, this guy must have been possibly even touching his 80s, and he was, he's taking his sweet time, but he wouldn't be doing it, if you think about it logically, unless he wanted to. I'm sure he's,
You'd like to think so, yeah. I mean,
you'd like to think so. You'd really hope that the less likely scenario, which is he desperately needs the money and he's setting up, you'd hope that's not the situation. You'd hope that, he can sustain himself otherwise. But the fact that he's doing it, like you said, is getting him out, keeping him fit, keeping him busy, interacting with people, and there's always two ways of
a purpose. And in retirement, I think we need a purpose more than ever. Because I mean, I've watched my mum and dad, not recently, I think dad's been retired 6 years now, and he had to replace work with other stuff, and they've done that very successfully. They're busier now than ever, and I think you really need that. So I think reselling could be that purpose and that drive that you need, so you
a reason to get out,
mind going, getting out, being social, all those things that sometimes in old age we've all seen some old people who just kind of give up and lose that, which is a shame.
And in a way, that's like, then you don't need to if you're in that situation, then reselling and will just come naturally to you, because it will be such an important part of your life. You won't be feeling forced. You'll be doing it because it is something for you to do in the time that you've got.
The Tube of You in the chat there said, "Ooh, this is what I mentioned about when you guys were doing the shots." So maybe that
may have been it. Maybe somehow through that I remembered.
Maybe
because it was really recent. I couldn't place where it was. I think it may have been.
I've no idea what we talked about on that.
I can't remember either. Yeah, but I see. Isn't it weird how things stick in your mind? I can't believe I recalled anything from that.
Karen has a comment. I think some of the US sellers, not naming any names, make it look super easy. To be honest, all the UK ones I follow seem to be quite transparent. We've certainly tried, Zahir and I, in these chats to give both sides of it, because on the face of it, this does sound easy. We go and find something for £1 and sell it for 20, sell it for 30, whatever. And you can see why people go, wow, that's amazing, I'm going to do this. But it's longer term that it gets difficult. And we've all said, I mean, Zahir, you have charted how difficult it is better than anybody else on YouTube, I think, sometimes. And it's fantastic because you get the highs and the lows. And we try and share that when we're, things aren't going so well as well. But yeah, certainly there are channels out there that maybe don't reveal how much work's involved, how stressful it can be, that sort of stuff, which is important.
I think also, just to balance that point, while I do agree with what you said there, Karen, is that I think there is also a tendency for people to want to see things, right? And we're all human. And I've said this because, like, just like you've said, Nick, we really do aim to show everything that, as clearly as we can. But sometimes some of the comments or questions or responses you get to the videos, it's almost as if sometimes people just don't want to see what you're showing and just want to see what they want to see, what fits in with what they want, what they would like. And I think maybe sometimes, just to be fair to the guys making videos out there, obviously there are going to be some which are going to be like a bit OTT, and those ones kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Like if a guy is telling you he's making 6 figures without doing any work, you can just call BS to that, because if he's making 6 figures, he's working hard. And I think that the other side of it is people who show that they're doing well do try to show sometimes what it takes, but it's hard to get the enormity of it across in like a 10-minute. I mean, these are really long videos. This is like an hour long, but a normal video, how much can you get across? And like I said, then also on top of that, people have got their own biases where they want to see something and they will see it even if it's not there.
And naturally, as content creators, we want to make a video when something great's happened. We want to share an amazing find or whatever, and naturally they're going to be highlighted on a channel. We're not going to, if we're having a really crappy day, it's raining, we've sold nothing, we don't think, I know, I need to make a video about this. I need to go on and moan about how terrible my life is. That doesn't happen very often.
No.
So
you people do want to share you want to share the good side of it, definitely.
Right. Scrolling through, I am miles behind, I think. Oh, it's just jumped. I don't know where I am now.
Linda Ferreira says, I made a live stream, thumbs up. I'm late, but I get to see you live.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter super chatted. Sorry guys, I am way behind. I'm gonna try and catch up.
Yeah.
Thanks for the super chat, Peter. Appreciate that. He says, cheers for positivity and keeping me on this journey. Absolutely our pleasure, mate. I'm glad you enjoy them. Okay.
Yeah. Ryan says, question, how do you guys cope with the not so good times in reselling, whether it's a bad day or a bad week?
Personally, I'm gonna have to, Monty's choking. Hold on.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully he's okay. That doesn't sound good. That's the thing. It is always a worry when dogs are left to themselves, get themselves in all kinds of trouble. Hope he's okay. That's not cool.
He's okay.
Is he okay?
He's been a little bit sick on the kitchen floor.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, that's so worrying. Oh no, that's just worrying, because you guys mentioned obviously that he'd had like a little episode, hadn't he?
Yeah, he had a little fit or little mini seizure about a week ago now, is it? But he's fine.
He's okay. Yeah.
You have a furball. Don't lick my face.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, he's fine.
Lauren says, question, I feel like there is a lack of boot sales. Where do you find jumble sales? Lauren, it probably only feels that way because you maybe haven't widened your search area enough. It obviously depends on how you get around, but some people are more than happy to drive up to like an hour, if not more, away to get to like a busy boot fair. So try looking at like an hour's radius around yourself and see whether any more appear on your radar. That would be my suggestion, because boot sales tend to be much more regular than jumble sales do.
I've just noticed Margaret's in. Hey Margaret, I know Margaret's going through an awful lot at the moment with the move and everything.
Oh gosh, yeah. Hi Margaret.
She was saying in there, I know a good many of retirees that resell to supplement their income. It's interesting.
Paul Rhodes says, oh no, go on.
It goes on to say, I'd rather be doing this than working in a fast food restaurant or Walmart.
Very true. Just want to say, Paul Rhodes has a question. Hey guys, advice for sellers on how to stay motivated when sales are really slow, please. That will come with experience, Paul. You know what, everyone's going to give you good advice about how to stay motivated and just keep listing and things like that. In the moment, that advice won't seem particularly helpful because you're going to be feeling a bit down about like sales being slow. But over time, I think you will just learn to cope with how the business is, and it, when you work for yourself, it really is like that. You can have great days followed by the opposite.
I think motivation is totally a personal thing that you just have to learn for yourself, because I've heard so many people giving good advice on motivation and organization and all of that stuff, and it just doesn't go in. It's just something I think we all have to learn for ourselves. And some are better than others at being self-motivating.
And I think here's another really interesting comment, which I think we can tie in with the topic. Infomatic says, just listing for listing's sake to shift stock isn't good enough anymore. Same as if you're placing products on a website. I think that's the thing. You do have to have products that people want, and that may be one of the reasons why people that jump into reselling jump out, because they find that they're not having the level of success that they've seen other people have. So for example, if someone was new to reselling and came across Nick's videos or my videos or whatever, and saw that we sell certain items, and then they went out and replicated it, and for whatever reason it just didn't work for them, because I really believe that to be the case as well, that just because something works for you, it's no guarantee it'll work for someone else, even though logically that makes no sense. Technically, if you're listing something and you find that it's a seller for you, then logically it should work for anyone else. But life doesn't work like that. And a great example of that is, how many times have you guys seen a discussion where someone will say, oh, I picked up brand X, I'm so happy, these fly for me, these items fly for me. Someone is 9 times out of 10 likely to come around and say, oh, I always walk by those, I've never been able to sell them. And that, even though logically that doesn't make sense.
I think another thing is that just came to mind, and I think somebody mentioned, it might have been Karen earlier, that things don't happen overnight, and getting to X level of income can take years. To getting established, building up stock, building up an eBay store, whatever it is. And I think sometimes the trouble is people will find the reseller videos and they'll say, that's what it is. That some people share how much they're making on a weekly basis or whatever. And it's like, all I've got to do is A, B, C, and I'll be at that level. And it just doesn't happen like that. That's a problem. And I think that's part of perhaps the quick turnover as well.
I think that's a really good point. And I think it's something that in the past, like I've been guilty of feeling myself, like when I first started, because I've noticed one thing that's happened over time is I no longer question myself to like, oh, maybe I should just go and get a job. Whereas that used to happen like a lot more in the much earlier days, where you thought you were doing everything because you'd listed a few hundred items, or you'd listed listing a few hundred items there's more to it, isn't there? Just like, just because you get 11 of your mates and get another 11 mates and start kicking a ball around a field and play football, it looks on the surface the same as watching Barcelona play against Real Madrid, but it's not. Just because you've got the same numbers and you're both playing football,
it doesn't make you Pele.
No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, so you might have 200 items and you might be seeing someone else that's got 200 items who's somehow magically selling more than you. It's because underneath that 200 items, they've probably got what, maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 10 years experience into that 200 items. So your 200 items has got your experience level behind it, which may be great, but it may not be as good as this other guy's, and hence why that other guy's stuff seems to be selling, because not to put it like just bluntly, it's better or whatever, but there's experience behind the decisions that were taken to get that store to where it is, and there's experience behind your store to get it where it is. There might not be much experience, but that's the difference.
There's a lot of subtleties involved as well with listing, with keywords, with visibility in the listing searches, all of that stuff, which is a whole other level of knowledge that we all have some level of knowledge on, and that doesn't come overnight either.
Exactly, it doesn't. And most importantly, to actually find what does the business, to find items that actually are popular, makes a huge difference.
I tell you, we did give out some information in that stream where we were drinking shots, because Steve learned something. He learned that Nick likes butts.
Oh gosh.
I do remember that conversation, actually. It's funny, when I got home, Andrea said, I caught some of that live chat you did at Tom's. I said, oh, yeah. Yeah. Was I drunk? She said, yes. No ifs or buts, just yes, you were very drunk.
Oh, gosh.
Margaret says, True Zahir has shown his highs and lows. Yeah.
Oh wow, you're right. You're way down. Yeah, I was like way up the
I've
chat.
been trying to keep
I'm so
up.
behind. Yeah. Gosh.
Oh, Kers, Kers, has got a comment there. I'm 14 months into reselling while working a full-time job. Handed my notice in 2 weeks ago, and as of the 1st of June, I will be reselling full-time. Thanks for all the support and guidance. We've read comments like that. I've lost count how many times now, but it always gives me a tingle down the spine. It's like, I remember how exciting that moment is.
It is hugely.
So best of luck, Kers. It's all down to you now. It's all down to how much hard work you can put in. I'm sorry, it's all down to hard work now.
It's just the grind begins.
Yeah. Lex says, I was going to record a sales video of interesting, in quotes, sales, but then I saw it and it was just standard stuff and not glamorous at all. That's the thing. Most of this is not glamorous, and that's a good word to use. I did a video ages ago called The Glamorous Life of Reselling and kind of vlogged the whole day, and it was so dull. And that was the point. It was the whole point of the video. And sometimes the stuff we are selling isn't glamorous. I mean, I'm selling filters most days and car mats and media, and it's just dull as hell. And it's only when you get those exciting finds, like the wall pictures or other stuff, or that radio you picked up that you were so happy with when we got back to Tom's and you were like, oh, this thing is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't know if you shared that yet. Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah. The flip clock. Yeah. Right. What other comments have we got? Oh yeah, Alia says, I started working for M&S, but the hospital I work at was closed. I wish I could have gone car booting yesterday. So pointless being open. That's unlucky.
Adrian, Mr. Diggs Deal says, at the end of the day, you do what feels right for you. If it works, then carry on. If it doesn't work, make changes. If you make mistakes, learn from them and grow from it. That sums a lot of it up, to be honest. Yeah.
Good Use Goods Jury's in the chat and says that's a problem with social media and fake news and everything. People look for things that fit their ideas and views and ignore the truth and discount the rest. I like to look at the facts and math behind things. That's how I make my decisions. And that's such an important.
That's a great comment.
Yeah, really. Such a great comment, because that's the crux of it. Yeah. That is the crux of it. At the end,
is the essence of the problem as well. People seeing what they want to see and not analyzing it to do with their situation and their ability and their stock, and you know what I mean? Because other people's numbers are pretty much irrelevant to you and your situation. And I think people, they get a mismatch of that, don't they? They watch a channel and think, I can do that if I just do X, Y, and Z, and it just,
I mean, we've even gone to the extent that on sometimes where we've been sharing our turnover for the week, I've even said, like, on a number of occasions actually, that you guys don't know what I spent to get this stuff. These turnover numbers, I could be turning a loss for all anyone knows. So just take everything with a pinch of salt.
It is. And a good example, Andrea shifted these Doc Martens, I think it was yesterday, for £80. It's like, great sale, fantastic. Yeah. £80, free shipping, and these were bought at auction. And this was the lot where Andrea kept her hand up too long. Right. And we ended up with commission spending, I think it was just under 50 quid or something. So investment of 50, free shipping off the 80, fees off the 80. I think we struggled to make £15 out of an £80 sale.
That's an example.
Take it on the face value of £80 from one item. That's like, wow, I can make loads of money. No, you really can't.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
There was loads of good comments coming in. Thanks so much for everyone who's joining in and commenting. Oh, Lonnie's in. Hey there. I lost the comment I was going to read because it's now moved.
Well, Jay Ben says, I've dropped off watching as much as before because so many resellers are now making vids that I'd never get anything done if I watched them all, even though I do appreciate what I've learned. I mean, and that's the thing at the moment, I suppose in the UK, at least, we've not necessarily noticed what Pete was talking about, but Pete Craigslist Hunter is an analytical guy. And, you know, if he's noticed something, because he's made similar videos about niches in the past as well. So for him, it was just another statistic almost, because he's made videos in the past saying, guys, check out this. I think this niche has got potential. People buy this. You know, he's done these videos. And for him to actually make the point of making a video saying that he's seen a significant drop off in the amount of content creators views.
Everything to an extent is cyclical anyway, and it will come in waves of popularity. And certainly reselling and recycling secondhand things, it was all over the telly, wasn't it? And it was really kind of
the in thing to do,
trendy for a while. And I think that brought a lot of people to the videos, to the channels, and to have a go. I was just reading Jury's comment. He said, I had a fellow tell me they can't make money on video games because the competition is too much and they can't find any. I almost spat my coffee out. Just look harder and outside the norm. That's another thing about Jury could show some video games he found, and 100 people might go out and try and replicate it, and probably all fail because they haven't learned what Jury knows. You see what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
You can't just see someone doing something and instantly replicate it.
And Falling on a Bruise says, just going back to people stopping doing reselling YouTube vids, there seems to be times when everyone gets a huff on that the vids are giving away the secrets of what to buy, so they give up. See, I think that's an interesting comment, because I think that the secret isn't what to buy. The secret is all about the attitude, the persistence. I suppose that's where the chat number 121 comes in. You know, that persistence and keeping going. That's the real secret. The secret isn't in what to buy. What to buy is like, it's not a secret at all. I mean, anyone that thinks that they're the only ones that knows that X is worth Y or whatever, kind of deluding themselves, because it really isn't that hard. And there's so many niches, so many products. What to buy is not the issue. The issue is always the mindset and the strength to keep going when you don't think things are going. That's the real secret.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What's in the inverted commas? Yeah.
I've just seen a super chat comment. I'll scroll down and get to that. I just wanted to read out an interesting question from Will You Take Less? How much time do you devote to researching things to increase your buying knowledge, or just buy, list, learn as we go? I don't very often. I have been sharing videos where I'm just going on eBay to do research, and I do that periodically, but it's more a fun thing, and I'm learning as I'm going when I'm doing those videos for researching into vintage toys. But what I tend to do is I will take a chance on items regularly, take a punt on a thing, and then because I own that item, I will then look that up, and while I'm doing it, I will find out within that niche, within that, I don't know, whatever item, I will do a what sold and finished highest, and then find out from that what other brands are better, what to avoid, what to pick up. So it's kind of an ongoing thing with me, and I do that by taking a chance on random gear as and when I can. So that's how I do it.
And I think also to try to memorize specific items individually, like, you know, for example, items that people share, so like, you know, bolos or whatever, or trying to learn specific brands, etc. You know, that will happen by osmosis over time, but to sit there and try to swat and do that, I don't think is necessarily efficient. Again, it's one of those situations where you're better off just learning what makes a good item, you know, just being able to spot what makes a good item. And you know, I've talked about this previously, like learning what quality is. Just knowing what a quality example of something is can really save you a lot of time researching, because you now know what a quality pair of shoes looks like. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily how shiny it is or what the brand is. It could simply mean that you might know that a certain material's been used or a certain style of stitching has been used that would only be employed in something of value. Or if you're looking at electronics, you might know that, you know, certain features or certain materials used or build quality or even something as simple as weight or country of manufacture can you can just learn the kind of broader aspect of it rather than trying to be like, oh, I know that the I don't know, the Garmin G5 Golf GPS finder thing is worth money, you know. I said it because I've got one here, I picked that up, but learn instead that, wow, this thing has like a massive hook on the back. It's got a rugged build. I actually thought this was like a Walker's, you know, GPS system, but just certain things, it just made it stand out from a regular sat nav to me. And it was just little tweaks like that.
Yeah, I remember, and a thing you said years ago now is learn to spot quality. That phrase stuck with me.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, look at the tripod I showed. I didn't need.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like a bloody minigun, guys. You know, it's not. You know, if you can't spot that, then look at that level of it. You don't need to know about.
On some level, we can all tell when something's cheap and nasty. But just apply that in reverse, and you'll know that probably it's a safe bet to pick up if something has clearly had a lot of work and effort put into it.
And if you want that assurance, you know, once you've spotted something that you think is worth quality, check on the spot. You know, if someone, so for example, that guy was asking 100 quid on that tripod, you know, have a quick sneaky check and see if you think it's worth 100, or, you know, at least.
Absolutely, there's no shame in that. I do that regularly. I must mention James, who is in, has super chatted £5, and he just says thank you.
Oh wow!
Right back at you, James. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, we've got over 212 people watching right now, which is incredible.
So if you've just joined us, we're just having a chat about how we've noticed. Well, actually, Craigslist Hunter did a video about how there's a big turnover of people coming into reselling and leaving reselling, and we just thought we'd touch on that and see what you guys had to say. Stu Mandry had a comment there. He says, I've seen quite a few reseller videos where they are happy to tell you their sales, but keep their profit margin a secret. They could quite easily be running a failing business despite their facade.
That's exactly what I said to you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very good point. And I mean, when I do sales videos, I do try and share the more interesting stuff, because you would get way bored if I just shared right now an oil filter with a different number on it. But also what I try and do, and I know Zahir does this as well, is that if we show a good sale, like if I shared these shoes, I would also disclose that we overspent on them and our margin was pretty pathetic for what we invested. So yeah, I think you're right, Stu. You have to take a lot of things with a pinch of salt if you're not getting the whole story.
Oh, Margaret says y'all are awesome. I love it when she says y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all. Yeah.
Y'all are awesome too.
Darren says there is no secret to reselling. What items sell well are right there online to research. And if working hard is a secret, perhaps working for yourself isn't for you. Very well put, Darren. Yeah, I think sometimes people fail to think about how much work's involved. They just think about the numbers, and that only follows hard work. Sparrow Zen says, here, I think you just became my life coach. Well, then you need help, because I appreciate the sentiment, but seriously, you know, not a good example of a life coach. Nelly says, if I'm going to pay up, I will research. If it's just a few cents or dollars, I buy and list. Yeah. Yeah. You know, very. Yeah, I think we all have our own personal kind of cut-off point where it's like, I want to be sure about this. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Karen says, I'm watching. The hubby and dog have fallen asleep. Reselling is not for everyone. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I can totally see why people would watch this and pass out. Oh gosh, we need to kind of add in some like 3D explosions or something, Nick. You know, like I don't know, just in the background, like yeah, like something, or at least have entrance music or something. Yeah. Derek says, sold a Lego salt and pepper shakers to the BBC Sports Room today. 50p in,
to £8, bread and butter. And I always tell people just listen and really listen. I've actually got a set of those Lego salt and pepper shakers, and I can't shift them.
Oh, can I just mention? Oh, there's another example. You know, someone else that does well. Yeah. Just got to mention Luke Stevenson's comment. Reselling has served its purpose for me. Make enough money to start a bigger business, one that isn't limited by the amount of time I have. Got to thank you and your vids for that, Nick and Z. Wow, that is so awesome to see that it's, you know, and it's a great example of, you know, another reason why resellers will come and go, because, you know, it's not for everyone. It doesn't, you know, you might be doing it now for as a stepping stone towards something, as a stopgap towards something. And obviously Luke has leveraged the power of reselling to start a business, and good luck to you, mate. That is a great comment. Sorry, that's giving me kind of goosebumps.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
And in an odd way, that's kind of the route we took, because we started reselling from our rented house, and then we used that to get money behind us to set up the shop, which then exploded for us and took off. And then we've kind of come full circle and come back to doing this in this way from home. So yeah, it is a great way to build up some capital and expand from there. Adrian says, my old granddad had a saying, only believe half of what you hear, half of what you see, and you won't go far wrong.
That's a very wise granddad, definitely. Well, so many comments have come in. James says, super chat was me. I'm Kurz. I changed it to my real name, James.
Oh, okay. All right, nice one. Thank you for that. Lex has a comment. It's an interesting one. Do people count the amount of time they invest as part of the profit or loss? For example, if you work 40 hours a week and make £200, is it still worth it? It's certainly something you need to keep track of and ask yourself that question for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we did, to be honest. And it's something we should have done. I do think it's important because, you know, at the end of the day, time is the most valuable thing that any of us have, and you're exchanging it for, you know, for money. And so it has to be a fair exchange for you. And what's a fair exchange will obviously depend on where you are in your journey.
And I remember we did one of these chats where it's about reasons why we do this. And let's say I was earning less per hour than I could in a job I could pick up easily. I'd probably still opt for this because I gain so much more than the actual monetary value. I gain the freedom and the other things we chatted about a month or so back. So it is a very personal question, and I think you'd have to.
And to be honest with you, I found that one of the beauties of working for yourself, reselling, is that if you keep tweaking and playing with it, you shouldn't be having to put in massive hours. And this is where I'm worried about sounding a bit too much like someone that makes it sound easier than it is. But I think after a while, at least, you should be getting to a stage where you don't have to do like massive hours. I mean, Carla, who's a real proponent of this, openly will say she could earn a lot more if she wanted to, and if she wanted to work more. But she does what, in her words, tends to be what part-time hours for like close to like a full-time wage.
I would concur with that with me as well.
Yeah, and I think that's key. I mean, you know, we talked about this at the weekend. We could all earn a lot more in terms of sales if we put in a lot more work, because we've got the time for it. In case you haven't noticed, I've been probably playing Fortnite for 4 hours a night. That could easily be spent, at least some of it, working. But I don't have to right now. Well, I do in the long term scheme of things. Technically, I shouldn't be doing it, but
exactly. And you have those choices.
Exactly.
That's the trade-off, isn't it? You have those choices, those options. I had the choice today to sit here and do, I've got a few jobs to do here, you know what I mean? But I spent the day with my father helping him out, and I had the option. Whereas a 9-to-5 job, you can take time off, but it's not always that easy. So
Alia super chatted.
Another super chat I've just noticed. Aaliyah has super chatted £2. Thank you for that. They say, right on, Z, persistence paid. I found my hero quest.
Oh, wicked.
Oh,
Persistence is, yeah.
fantastic.
I've yet to find one. You still have to find a wrestling belt.
Yeah, still
I
not
saw,
seen one.
I saw another 2 this weekend, but they wanted £8 a pop.
Ah.
Like, I was like, that was a bit too
So
rich for my
what
blood.
do you go on? I know you know more which ones are worth more and less, but what would
Well,
be
they're just like kids wrestling belts.
but
Any of them.
price-wise, if I see one, here's a couple of quid worth it on any.
Most people, yeah, ask you for 50p to 2 to 3 quid, and I'd pay that for pretty much any of them, because you'll get like
that's all I need to have
quid.
in my head, really.
Yeah, you get about 15 quid. You know, maybe 20 depending on what it is.
Margaret says, my son is loving learning to resell. It's something that he feels that he can do. He's saving for a claw machine. A claw machine?
A
grabber machine, like
like in Toy Story.
Saving for a claw machine to put in a local business to roll into more money, and he's 10. See,
Margaret's son's got the bug.
He's got a business mind, because he's already thinking forward. I'm going to generate some money and I'm going to invest it on something that will make money on autopilot. That's clever. That is, I hope he manages to do that.
Definitely.
Bianca says, reselling is not about getting money served on a silver plate. It's a passion and hard work. You must love it to do it, but it gives a lot more freedom than a 9-to-5 job. That sums it up very well indeed. Thanks for that. Jury, good use goods comments. Reselling got me into a house that we will be flipping, hopefully, to make a lot of money. Wow. Epic. Oh, you're not going to sell the house with that was a bank. When I chatted to Joy, he was explaining that it's got like a full-size vault with a massive door on it and all that in the basement.
And reselling is also paying for 80% of the home renovations currently as well, says Jory.
Wow.
Shows the power of what's achievable.
Yeah. I tell you, Jory knows the meaning of hard work. Glenn says, I sold some Formula One annuals to Renault Sport Formula One today. A bit like coal to Newcastle.
That's crazy.
Margaret says, right, my other son couldn't care less. Well, there you go. Some people are cut out for this and naturally have an affinity for buying and selling, and some people really just don't get it, I think. I've always got that excitement, that thrill out of making money out of flipping something since a very young age.
Carla's in the chat. She says she missed the whole damn thing. What's the matter? No worries, Carla. Mentioned you earlier, actually. Just leave it at that, and then you can go back and see.
Nelly says, Margaret, family reselling is the best lesson to give your children. I am now taking my 2-year-old granddaughter to the thrift stores. Wow, start them young, 2-year-old. Wow.
Infomatech says, this is where you're planning to fail. If you're full-time reselling, resell full-time. It depends what you consider full-time as well. I mean, you know, that's a movable feast. So
what you need, what any person needs to get out of this or wants to get out of it will change per person to person.
But very good point that he says small businesses need much more time to survive than established ones. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, in terms of the amount of time you put in, you can definitely tell there's a difference in how much you were doing before versus a bit later.
And yes, Pixie Dust Gaming, I can see your messages. I'm sorry if we're not getting to them all. It is very difficult to read everything out. I did see that you said, sorry that if you got us in trouble about talking about bums and boobs on the other live chat. I didn't get in trouble. Andrew was just amused.
Pixie, and she actually has a question, Pixie Dust Gaming. Do you make up your own prices where you would feel comfortable paying for the item as long as you get a profit, or do you go by what everyone else is selling it for?
I set my selling price by what I think I can achieve on eBay realistically.
Yeah.
So if I'm in an item for too much money and I overpaid, tough. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it to move it on. I'm not going to, if I paid £10 for an item that's worth £10, I wouldn't stick it on at 30 just because it'll never sell. If that's what you mean.
Yeah. Good point. It's actually 7:04 now.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't even looked. Wow. It's always like that when we really get involved in the side chat. go on and on. Right, let me scroll nearer towards the end. Lonnie, pro tip, here we go.
Oh,
Dress
cool.
your kids really poorly for yard sales. Maybe rub a little dirt on their face.
and maybe a bit of straw. Give them a bit of
what
straw.
you like with that tip.
Yeah. I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, go for it. And Jury says, he says to Lonnie, I used to go round as a little kid and get stuff for free at garage sales. I would then sell it at my own garage sale, and people paid a premium because I was a little kid. If there's someone who's had it in their blood since they were a child. Well, on that note, shall we think about wrapping this up? I've got to the end of the chat.
Yep.
Thanks everybody who has been commenting live. If you're watching this after the fact, drop me a message below. Tell me what you think about some of the topics that have come up. Yeah,
a lot
really
of
enjoyed
really good interaction from the chat. Yeah, it's been brilliant to get everyone's opinions and views on it, because it is, yeah, it's an interesting topic, and you know, thanks to Pete for making that video about it. Really.
Yeah. Oh, Carla's, I've just got to read this out. Carla's just said, I used to pick up sweets from the pavement, rewrap them, and sell them at school.
That's just wrong, Carla.
That's quite evil.
That's just wrong. Oh gosh.
Wow.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Zahir, for joining me. The link to Zahir's channel is below. If you're not already subbed, go over and check Zahir's channel out now. Zahir also has a Friday evening chat. I assume you'll be doing that as ever this week.
Yeah, we're back.
And I'll be back.
You guys be on Sunday with Andrea.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
What?
This weekend, quick message. We're going to be moonwalking.
Yeah, go for it.
On Saturday night, we will be doing the moonwalk. So we hopefully will see whether we can get on and do like a little stream on that day, I'm sure. But if you guys haven't, we do, Nick will put like a link in the description to our donation page.
Yes.
So if you guys want, you can go over there, and if you haven't already donated, donate towards a good cause. We're going to be walking for cancer, breast cancer research. On Saturday night, 26.2 miles.
We're going to be doing 26 miles, as Zahir says, and both couples did the 20-mile training run, and it hurt like a biatch. It was like, no walk in the park. This is quite serious. But yeah, we will try and live stream, hopefully, so if you can catch those, but they might be quite late because we're doing through the night. But I think we're both going to vlog as well, so you'll be able to see that at the time. I'll put the link below afterwards if you want to go and check out the donations page. And yeah, wish us luck for Saturday. Can't wait.
See you guys.
Take care, guys.